Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I would like to call the meeting to order. And our inspirator today is Marshall, but I don't see Marshall. Are you there? Well, I would like to uh, remind everyone that Flag Day is coming up, I believe, on Saturday. And I know we've seen some terrible things lately of flag burning. And I think we all take the time on this Flag Day to display the flag if you have it and to remember uh, what that means and everyone who has sacrificed to keep our flag flying. And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our Toastmaster of the day is Kate.
Thank you so much, Carol, and good morning, everybody. We started on time and a few more came in. I'm so glad to see stragglers and early birds and everyone in between. On Zoom in our space, let's see, who do we have? Margot and Darcy and Mike Florio, Maggie, David Jones, anybody else? That's who I can see from my view. Anyone else do we have on Zoom? It's good to see you all from wherever you are Zooming. And in the space here in person, we do have Sylvia and Beth and Mark and Len, Nancy, Mary, David Licata, Carol, you just saw, Jill, Steve, Joe Budnack, Marty, Gerald, and myself. Is that everyone? So far, we might have some more stragglers. We're happy to take them. Today's theme is AED and CPR awareness. Last week, starting June 1st, is AED and CPR Awareness Week. Why would it be June 1st? The week of June 1st, it makes sense kicking off summer right after Memorial Day because summertime, June, July, and August, if you did not know already, are the 100 deadliest days of the year. June, July, and August are the deadliest, and it kind of makes sense. People are risk-taking and adventuresome in the summer and maybe do things that they wouldn't do all year round, often with motorcycles, ATVs, and then after weddings and graduation parties, car accidents, that kind of thing. Also with heat, exhaustion, overheating, with mowing the lawn or doing things maybe you shouldn't be doing on certain weather days. We haven't seen any of those weather days really much yet this year, but we do all know that they are coming. So today's theme is CPR and AED awareness. Those in the room will have some hands-on practice. Those of you who are not in the room, I would request that for after we do the roll holders, you may want to get a roll of paper towels, a full roll of paper towels at home, or a yoga mat. So if you have a yoga mat or a full roll of paper towels, that's going to take the place of the CPR dummy that we all will have in front of us. We all have little CPR ambulances. And for anybody in the room, those are the average density of the human body, of the average human body, and how far we have to push that ambulance for the training. And I should have brought one up as a visual because everyone's playing with them in the room and you on Zoom cannot see that. But sure, throw one at me and let's see how the throw and the catch is. Bravo, Sylvia. Excellent throw. And so I actually caught it. This is a foam ambulance. And the most important thing on this ambulance, what is the most important thing on the ambulance? If you're looking at one, call 911 and we'll get back to that. That is the theme. So let's get into a little bit of our roles so we all have a chance to use our word of the day, etc. And it looks like we have some tag teaming going on here, perhaps. with the word of the day. Our word master is Maggie. Maggie, are you available to introduce your word and role?
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I'm here, and I'm in Toronto this morning, and I'm sorry that I'm not there in person on such a hands-on kind of day. But the word of the day is, and I think somebody's going to put it up for me, is vigilant. And it means keeping careful watch for possible danger or difficulties. It's someone who is vigilant, is alert, watchful, attentive, especially to avoid danger, trouble, or mistakes. And it comes from the word, since I was speaking in French last time, I thought I would tell you in Latin. It's a Latin word and it comes from the Latin vigilare, meaning to stay awake. I'll turn it back. Oh, also, I will. Is somebody there at the meeting that wanted to share this position? If not, I will be keeping track of ahs, ums, and the good and not so good use of grammar. Anyone?
Maggie, my mom volunteered to keep track of the word. If you'd like to do
Ahs and grammar?
are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
The other takers in the room? Okay, so
So we'll do that. Okay, thank you so much. Turning back over to you,
thank
Kate.
you. Being vigilant is of utmost importance. Things can happen around us without us even realizing. Right now, something could be happening in this room, and if you're paying attention to your agenda and you're paying attention to your coffee, you don't even realize that someone is slumped over at the table. And you might hear and think of like CPR and situations where it just happens out in public, or maybe it'll happen at the store or something. 4 out of 5 times it's going to happen, it's going to be with somebody that you know. 4 out of 5 times it's someone that you know. And cardiac arrests and cardiac issues are the biggest killer worldwide. 400,000 Americans die every year from cardiac arrests. And by taking immediate action and being vigilant, you can double or even triple the chances of someone's survival. And that someone is, like I said, 4 out of 5 chances that someone you know, right? So be vigilant. The 3 C's, I'll get to that and then back to the rules. The 3 C's are so important. Those of you in the room have a handout, and I can send that to everybody on email later. The 3 C's tie into being vigilant because the first one is check. Check the situation. They slumped over. What happened? Check them out. Do you know them? Can you figure out based on context, clues, what happened? There's a big puddle. Did they slip in it? Something like that. And check is the first C. The second C is call. Call 911 immediately. One of our former members was a 911 dispatcher. Do you remember who was a 911 dispatcher? Jen Zapla was, and she talked about it. She was a 911 dispatcher, and so is my cousin Jenny. Anyone raise your hand have had to call 911 in this room or in the Zoom space? Anyone ever not? Right. Good. I was going to say at least half, and it is. It looks like more than half in Zoom and in person. We've had to call 911, and I am proud of you for doing that. In situations when we have to be vigilant, and we don't even know we need to be vigilant, it's about paying attention and it's about calling. The 911 operators would rather have too many people call because someone passed out at the YMCA and they got 5 phone calls. They'd rather that than you go, I think someone else is calling. They must be on their phone. They might be on their phone talking to their daughter and we're already on their phone. You don't know. It's better to call when you see anything, an accident out in the wild, something in a situation. Get on your phone, call 911, like the ambulance training device says, call 911 and keep your phone on speakerphone. Just call. So check, call, and compress. And we'll get into the compressions later when we do have more time. So we'll practice compressions at home on that paper towel roll or yoga mat and here with this. But let's get back to our roles. Our next role, and we'll go right down the agenda, is our quote master is Mike Florio. Mike on Zoom, do you have quote for us today?
Sure do. Good morning, Madam Toastmaster. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. There are not many quotes out there for CPR, but in my mind, CPR is helping people, and there are plenty of quotes out there for that. Got a couple here now. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of others. Charles Dickens. This one's Ronald Reagan, of all people. We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. Madam Toastmaster.
everyone can help someone. I'd like you to raise a toast. That's a perfect segue for toasting. It could be you, it could be someone else. Here's to saving others and being at the right place at the wrong time, right place at the right time. On to our jester today. This is a serious topic, but I'm sure that Mom can come up with some funny things related to the theme or otherwise. Beth, our jester.
Well, I went with blood, Jess. Blood donors are real vain people. Dracula has a type. It's always be positive. It's in my blood to go with the circulation. That vampire's fashion is to die for. Yeah. Red blood cells are oxygen's favorite rideshare. That transfusion was such a life-saving affair. Goofy things. AB positive blood always sees the glass half full. I'm going to stop now.
Very funny, and thanks for wearing red. Keep red cross on our mind. Our timer is on deck and ready, so our timer will introduce what our timing parameters are. Let's shake the right hand. Is that
Pink is kind of anemic blood, but that's this morning I will be your timer. And I will time the table topics, which are 1.5 to 2 minutes. Green for 1.5, yellow for 1 3/4, 2 minutes, and then a 15-second buffer. And the speeches, I'm guessing, are 5 to 7, unless I hear otherwise just before the speech by the evaluator or something. And I will be vigilant in timing our speakers and table topics speakers. Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you, Madam Timer. Our quiz master today, also on deck, Marty.
Morning, Madam Toastmaster Kate, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. As Quizmaster, I will be testing your listening skills, so please be vigilant and pay close attention as I will be quizzing you to see what you've learned throughout the meeting. Thank you. Madam Toastmaster Kate.
Thank you so much. And when I was trying to do some other housekeeping, I left my agenda over there. Who's next on the schedule? Would it be our general evaluator, perhaps? Let's go with general evaluator. It's about right. It's about time. David Jones. David, as general evaluator, what is your role today?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I'll be reviewing the meeting as a whole and specifically checking on our evaluators to give them a little feedback on their evaluations to our speakers so our speakers can grow. I'm just buying time while Kate's walking around. Kate, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks for covering some time for me. Thank you very much. And you couldn't hear my response. I forgot that I was talking. And you can't hear us on Zoom if we're not on the microphone. I can ask if anybody had come in late and didn't get the paperwork and a little ambulance, come on over and get. There's a white page, the red pages, and then the ambulance, and we'll do a little bit of training. I was also looking to give Jackie and Phil a little more time to arrive because Phil is Jackie's evaluator. Is he on Zoom yet? And Jackie's not in the room, so I've got some housekeeping to take care of. That's unusual. If someone could text Jackie and make sure she's okay, check. 1, 2, 3, check on them first and see the situation. So I'll give her a little more time and then we'll roll into table topics shortly. Okay, did we get everybody except for Mary? Perfect. So Mary as table topics master shortly. We'll just do a little bit of a demo quick with our CPR training. Oh, there is Jackie there, but I don't see Phil. Hi, Jackie. Just double checking. No Phil. So we'll give him a minute. And otherwise, be thinking if you could be on deck to be Jackie's evaluator if we don't see a Phil, because he would be here by now usually. Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry about that, Jackie. Did you, we can arrange that now. I heard from the room that Phil said he wouldn't be here. I didn't see that email. So I did not arrange for another evaluator. That isn't something you did by any chance, Jackie, is it? Because we can arrange that now. And then we can do a quick demo. Anybody in the room or on Zoom willing to evaluate today? You will be the second evaluator. Dr. Stevens, I'm sorry, he's waving over here. Jackie, Gerald will evaluate you today. And this is back to the housekeeping. This is the order we'll do. That Mark will be speaker one. Mark is our alternate, but he'll be speaker one. Okay, Joe? So Joe is evaluator one. You'll be evaluating Mark. And then we will have Gerald evaluating Jackie. And then we will have Sylvia evaluating Steve. Any questions about our housekeeping? Thank you all for your flexibility and understanding. Okay, those of you on Zoom, you can watch only. Again, if you want to participate, a full roll of paper towels or a yoga mat will be exactly what we're doing. And many of you remember that we did this already before, but the more that we can refresh our memory, the better. The 3 C's: check, call, compress. Why do we check? You might not understand the situation. You say, oh, there's a pool in the neighbor's backyard, and now I see my neighbor is passed out near the pool. Did they get out of the pool? Is it, I see downed wires. Maybe they're choking. I'm not sure. Make sure you check and that the scene is safe, that you're not going to also get injured because of whatever is happening in the scenario. And while you're checking them, you're checking, are they breathing? And you're putting them on a flat surface. If they're on the ground, you're rolling them over. People hesitate. This is why this is so important. People hesitate and they think that they're going to hurt someone more, or they shouldn't touch somebody, especially women. All you women in the room and all you men who love the women in your lives, women die more because of heart issues, because folks don't want to touch them and touch their chest and save them. They don't want to cut off their clothes, more so with women, even women that they know, and sometimes more so with women that they know because they're uncomfortable with that. We have to shake that off and get to the situation. And we check the situation and we can begin compressions almost immediately. But first, call 911 if you're the only person there. If you're not, shout to somebody else to call on 911 and stay on the phone with the dispatcher. They'll talk you right through a situation. Now, we'll do this quick so we can then get into table topics, but I'm going to have everyone stand up and just demonstrate. We're not going to do like a full-on CPR training, but demonstrate the challenge that this is, right? We've already called 911 and the dispatcher is talking us through compressions, and then we'll talk through it. I want you, anybody else need an ambulance? So put the ambulance right in front of you. The ambulance is the person that you're trying to save, okay? The density of this is the average adult human body density for us to push 2 to 2.5 inches. That means we're pushing this ambulance all the way down to the table. Tables are on wheels, they're not locked, so this is just a demonstration. We're not going to do this for a very long time, but you're wondering, like, where am I doing this? I'm not doing it on an ambulance, I'm doing it on a person. Think of the Red Cross. I talk about the Red Cross all the time. I work for the Red Cross. Think of the body that you're helping, and you're making a cross in their body. The center, and then the center under the armpits. So you're targeting right where, touch your own chest, where that is, where the armpits are crossed at the center. It's hard. It's very hard. It's a chest, it's a bone. You have to push on that bone hard enough for that bone to then push on the heart, because we are becoming the pump for someone whose heart is not working. So we're going to push this all the way down and fast, 100 beats a minute. Anyone remember the song that they say to use to remember? There's a lot of songs. Staying alive, staying alive. I could play that song. We won't mess up the microphones or anything with that, but picture that. And the pace is pretty fast. I love seeing folks. Don't panic or worry. My hands are supposed to be right hand, left hand. Just get going with it. And you're holding and locking. You're locking your arms. I love seeing people already pushing, and those of you watching the camera can see that. Doesn't matter which hand, you interlace and you press with that hand as firmly as you can. And it's that demonstration that you're doing. I can't on this. I love seeing. I'll point to someone who's doing a great job. I think Jill, from the beginning, she was really showing her arms were forceful. You're not bending. You're excellent, excellent. You're not bending your elbows and you're pushing harder. But staying alive, duh, dun, dun, and you are being someone's heart and you're pushing oxygen to the extremities. You can have a seat. Isn't that exhausting? We didn't even do that for a minute. This is why first responders take turns, and they take turns. And they go back and forth until help arrives is the other part of my theme, because you're doing this until help arrives, or this, it says it right in your handout, or the scene becomes unsafe for whatever reason, or you get so exhausted you can't continue. Keep continuing. You don't, the first responders don't need to come and have two people passed out and not be able to figure out the situation, but you keep your phone on speaker and they will guide you through. They'll also guide you through AED units. After we do table topics, I'm going to ask, does anybody know where the closest AED is here in the YMCA? And you're going to start paying attention to where AED units are in your life. So I'm going to call up Mary. She did prepare 4 questions. So we are going to go through all 4, or all 3, because we have 3 speakers. So we're not going to do all 4 because we have enough speakers. So you pick any 3 contestants and any 3 of your questions. Perfect. Mary is prepared. And Mary, take it away.
And people don't know who I'm choosing. So I'm gonna Margot.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. If you were prepared to have an emergency kit, what items would you include?
Interesting question, because I have a permit for my kitchen from the Niagara County Health Department. I am required to have an emergency kit. I'm required to have the posters on the Heimlich maneuver hanging up in my winery. And that is one of the things we get judged on every single year. So I have your typical first aid supplies, but I also have the items to do CPR, which are in a drawer. It's labeled. Everybody knows exactly where it is. It's in the bottom drawer in our pantry, so it's halfway between the kitchen and the tasting room. In addition, our Lions Club recently had a new member who is a nurse, and our Lions Club in Barker now has an AED machine. And there's a little sign outside, and we have a key that the first responders know about so they can get into our building to get our AED machine. The first Saturday of June, we actually do AED training. And this year we had 12 people come. Only 4 were Lions. The rest were all members. So emergency kits are something we all need. They're all very important. And I hope that you are vigilant in knowing where the AED machines and a first aid kit would be. And I have a feeling I'm getting close to the time, but unfortunately, the way the Toastmaster has moved it, I can't see anything else other than what is going on. So I will pass it back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. You just made time, actually. So, Jill, I had a little list going on with who doesn't have a role. If you were in a situation where you had to use ADD, how confident would you feel? This was not my questions. This was from Google.
Just questions from Google. Well, that's fine. That's how to do things. All right. Would I be confident using the AEDs? I think so. Of course, the first step would be finding it. Hoping there's one where you are and finding the thing and then opening it up, because from what I gather, they're pretty self-explanatory. They pretty much tell you what to do. So I hope I would be confident in using it. I mean, if somebody's life was in danger, I'd feel pretty bad if I didn't do it right. I think we all would. That's, as far as the chest compression, that's the first time I've ever tried doing it, and that is hard work. I'm amazed. Of course, my hands with the lupus and everything, that made it even harder. I was hurting. And I don't know, and I didn't wear red on purpose today.
Sorry about that, Katie. I mean, I put it on, but I wasn't thinking. Subconscious, yes. And that's the way things are. The AED is it's a miraculous thing that they have invented and made them financially doable for so many locations. So thank you, Mary.
I'm gonna go to Dave Licata. Cause Dave Licata, how important is it to be prepared for an unexpected health emergency? And you need to use the word of the day. And you know I was gonna call on you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is a wonderful opportunity to come here and be reminded of these steps and remind us to be vigilant and ready, because, and I'm not proud of this, I just been so lucky my whole life, and I've never been around a situation. Holy smokes, I can't believe it just happened. When I was 2 years old, my biological father, not my stepfather, my biological father carried me up the stairs to that walk-up apartment that newlyweds have, collapsed on the floor and died. The firemen got there and it was just like a movie. Put the mask on, all they had back then was oxygen. The guy shaking his head, no. I never brought this up to my mother because it's a pretty painful subject. But even at barely 2, I'm pretty sure that this memory is imprinted in my mind because of the gravity of the situation. We were at an Optimist meeting not that long ago, and I called on the trivia. Well, we do trivia. So I called on John Sullivan to do trivia, and the gentleman next to him kept waving me off because John was having a bad time. So we called 911, and the first responders there were the firemen, and then the big team came up with the ambulance. And I leaned over to my brother optimist, Don Ertl, and I said, gee, Don, if they had all these modern things when my father was stricken, I'd still be David Fonzie. Thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master.
Can I have a word report? Hi.
Well, according to my notes, I did not hear Jill say the word of the day, but the other two did. So Margot and Dave both qualify. Thank you.
Topics. I was the timer, and Margot was 131, Jill 138, and Dave 201. All three qualified as far as time.
I'm gonna hand it back over to Kate.
Thank you, Mary. Please vote here in person on ballots, and Mary will collect them at Sergeant at Arms and on Zoom, those in Zoom world. Can we roll right into our speaking portion of our meeting? I would love to do that. I don't want to take it up. I want to take the entire meeting up with Red Cross topics, and we can save lives, but we are here to all improve our skills. And so let's roll right into our speaking portion. If we have time at the end, we'll talk more about CPR, AED, and also blood donation. All right, our first evaluating mark will be Joe Hudnick. Joe, come on up.
I believe Mark said that he will be speaking from the Inspire Your Audience, and it is 5 to 7 minutes. And your title again, Mark? You have it? Okay.
Great.
Best of luck. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joe. We have Mark Campos, rededication. Mark Campos.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. AM Lockport Toastmasters has been in existence for 41 years now. This particular Toastmaster has been here for roughly half of that, which in my opinion gives me a bit of street cred, if you will, to speak about the club. I've seen lots of Toastmasters. I've seen them come, I've seen them go, and I've seen them stay. I am very proud to be a member of this club. In this neck of the woods, we are very well known, if not renowned, a paragon, if you will, for what a Toastmasters club should be. And yet, despite all that, I have some concerns about where we are as a club, and I want to share them with you today. No, it's not about membership. Our membership is pretty good, could always be better. I don't think any Toastmasters club is ever satisfied with the amount of membership. And it's certainly not our club leadership. They do an outstanding job. What I'm concerned about is what I see, and this would be among the veteran Toastmasters, is maybe just a wee bit of complacency creeping in. And let me explain what I mean by that. If you've been in the club a long time, it's only natural that perhaps your drive and engagement wanes a bit over time in terms of achieving educational results or serving in leadership roles, things of that nature. What I'm talking about is how we run our meetings. And today's been a pleasant exception. Today's been on point. Everybody's been on their game. In this Toastmasters opinion, I don't think we are nearly as tight and as crisp in terms of how our meetings are running on a weekly basis. I think we're getting a little sloppy. And I think we're getting a little too comfortable with being sloppy. Being a little blunt here, but I'm being honest. It's not a big deal, right? It's just a Toastmasters meeting. I've been doing it for 20 years. No big deal. Where are we going for breakfast after this? But it is a big deal. Baseball legend Joe DiMaggio, in an interview, was once asked, "Why do you play so hard in a meaningless game?" And his answer was, "There could be some kid in the stands that's never seen me play before." Professionalism, setting an example. Any meeting we have, there is a potential guest out there that wants to learn about Toastmasters and AM Lockport in particular. Or there are new Toastmasters trying to find their way to get better. The good news is there is a lot that we can do to just tighten things up a bit. Those of you that had a job today, did you take the 60 seconds, and that's all it takes, 60 seconds, can't tell me otherwise, to go on your phone and click, "Yes, I will be there," so that Kate didn't have to chase you to find out if you'd be here? Now, some will say, "I don't like it. I'm not a computer person." I'm willing to bet you all have a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop. You probably go on social media. You maybe even pay a bill. Guess what? You're a computer person. You are a computer person. Because we've all been the Toastmaster and had to chase people. It's not fun, is it? When you're the Toastmaster, did you check off everyone on your list to make sure all your job holders did indeed show up? Did you have a good theme with plenty of filler material like Kate did today? When you're speaker, did you go online and put your speech project so that the evaluator and the Toastmaster knew what the hell you were going to talk about and have a title to introduce you? Have you ever been the evaluator and not had a clue what the speaker was going to say? I have. It's not fun. course, when you're the evaluator, if you know you're evaluating, you too can be seeking out the speaker to get those answers. What are you going to be talking about today? What would you like me to be looking for? When you're the table topics master, I'm sure you have your questions lined up, but did you get to the meeting a few minutes early to see who was there and who wasn't? Or did you just flounder? Do you have a job? I think you have a job. I don't think you have a job. There's a better way to do it. I challenge all of us. Let's raise the bar. Let's get back to basics. Every Toastmasters meeting is a performance. We should treat it as such. We should be striving to give the very best performance that we can give. If you have a job, you're a job holder. Stand up and announce what your job is as if nobody in the room knows what you're talking about. Someone out there may not know. Let's start clapping for each other. I've been a little demonstrative with the clapping because I'm trying to set the example. Lots of times people are coming up, there's no clapping. I know they can't hear it in Zoom, but we can hear it here. Let's not leave the lectern unattended. Back in the day, you couldn't get away with that without somebody calling you on it. So fellow Toastmasters, let's elevate our game and let's try to set the best example that we can set. We're about to end our hybrid meetings for a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, then we're going to Zoom. And I know not everyone is a Zoom fan, but let's bring that professionalism to every meeting going forward, whether it's in Zoom or whether it's hybrid. And let's make sure that the next 41 is even better. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much for your reminder to be vigilant in our meetings and be professional. Our second speaker is Jackie, and thank you to Dr. Gerald Stevens for jumping in as evaluator. Thank you, Gerald.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. How was everybody today? Before I just have a couple stories. Can I take a liberty here, Madam Toastmaster? I was prepared for table topics. I'm sorry Mary did not call on me. I just did CPR training with American Heart, sorry, Kate, with the chiropractors. And I hurt my knee a couple days before that. So trying to do CPR when you can't squat, doesn't feel good. So we did it on the table, much like we did today, or I did. And it's hard to do that too. You can't put your patient up there, that's for sure. But I did have two cases where I had kind of emergency kind of things. And then one of them was at my last job at the school, and hardly anybody left around. And I was in my office, and the student's like, "Help, help, help." I'm like, what is going on? So I look out there, and there's my student waving. And this other student was seizing, literally in the room with her. I just pointed to my boss, the training came out, call 911. It just like the training, came out. So I went and checked on him. He did not go into cardiac arrest, but he was seizing, and I just put him in the rest position. So first aid came to bear there. He was breathing, everything was fine. We believe he was taking some Adderall or some sort of drugs like that. So we just put him there. He didn't choke on his tongue or anything. They came, checked him out, all worked out well. Second time was sort of related to CPR. I was at Universal Studios. I was at a convention. I was by myself. So I decided to go see the Harry Potter world. I was excited about that. They had a single person line for the ride for Harry Potter. So I was up at the front, and two elderly people and another lady. And we all got strapped in for the ride. And the one guy goes, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to do CPR. And I talked to the attendant, and he's like, before it went off, and are you going to stop it? So 3 minutes, we're rounding around, going through the whole thing. I'm like, this guy's going to be dead by the time I get done with this ride. So I'm thinking, going through all my CPR in my head. I have no idea what that ride was. And I came to the end, And he pull up, and I look over at him. He goes, "Oh, I just had a panic attack." I'm like, "Woo!" Thankfully, I did not have to do CPR. Nobody wants to do that. Prepare to do it though. So in the end, he was fine. All worked out well, but it could have came in handy if that did happen. So for our evaluation today, back to the Toastmaster stuff, I did look online. I did not see a manual there for Jackie. I assume it's 5 to 7 minutes. I kind of stepped in last minute, so as Mark was saying, we got to be a little crisper here and to help our evaluators. But I'm sure she is well prepared with her speech. And Kate, do you have her title? So she'll introduce the title.
Jackie Kenny, The Long Winding Path. Jackie Kenny.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mark, for that reminder of how we should be vigilant and we should be performing right up to the nth degree of what we're expected to do. We have all gotten lazy, I think, about skipping steps or sort of sloughing off. And I think we all needed that reminder, and I hope everyone takes it to heart. The path to DTM is a long one. It never seems to get any shorter, no matter how much work you do. There are so many steps and so many things that have to be accomplished, and that never changes. Sometimes the parameters change, but the work stays the same, and we have to keep accomplishing all of the steps that are needed. Those steps are important both personally and to the club. The accomplishments of each member help elevate the club as a whole. The accomplishments of each officer bring us forward and bring our club to the period of excellence that we have always achieved in AM Lockport. And I think Mark was very correct that we do have a reputation in the community. People know what you're talking about when you mention Toastmasters and the things that we do, and they expect a lot from us. We do need to bring in new members, but that's not the be-all, end-all. The reputation of the club is what's important, and keeping our excellence right up to snuff is always important. And it's true. We need to make sure we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Those things count. You might think that they're not that important. It doesn't matter if you kind of get a little sloppy, but it does. It does matter. It's part of the whole, and we need to make sure the whole is everything that it should be. All of the ways that we conduct ourselves, the way we respond to a question, the way we prepare ourselves for our role, whatever it might be, whether we're a table topics competitor or a speaker. What have we done to get ready to prepare? Did we wait until we came through the door? Or did we look at things ahead of time and brief ourselves a little bit so that we knew what we were doing and had at least an approximate idea of where we were going with what was happening at each meeting? We're in a very well-prepared meeting this morning, and it shows. We're learning a lot. We learn something at every single Toastmaster meeting. I always feel that I come away from the meeting with at least one piece of knowledge, one important item that I take with me. Toastmasters is an amazing learning experience, as well as camaraderie and friendship. And we're so fortunate that we have this active, vital club in Lockport. It's worth getting up for every Thursday morning. It's worth participating. And once you come to Toastmasters, you never look back. I think we've made it part of our lives, and we need to keep working that program. We need to take those steps that are needed to get ourselves educated, to become skillful and comfortable with all the facets of Toastmasters. So people, pay attention. Get with the program. Be vigilant. Don't get sloppy. Mark was perfectly correct this morning. And I'm glad that he called us up on this. So people, come on. Get with the program every Thursday morning. Do the necessary items and take credit where credit is due. AM Lockport Toastmasters, it's definitely worth getting up for. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, our third speaker is Steve, being evaluated by Sylvia. Sylvia.
This morning, Stephen Smith is going to do his speech, his presentation, and also Steve is advanced communicator in leadership RENs. I'm not sure people knew that, what these initials stand after their names. And I will be vigilant, listening in your speech and looking for some suggestions. And his title this morning is Toastmasters in Astronomy. It's 5 to 7 minutes, Miss Timer. Stephen Smith.
Thank you. Now, when I found out I was going to speak today, I thought, fine. I have a lot of things coming up in astronomy this weekend. I'll talk about that. But the more I put my thoughts together and organized what I wanted to say, I realized that my journey through astronomy and Toastmasters were very tightly intertwined. Now, let me try to explain some of this. It was astronomy that got me into Toastmasters. I found myself doing public shows. I very quickly learned knowing all this information, presenting it is an entirely different skill set, one I did not have. Enter Toastmasters. Now, some of you know Mike Reinbold. He was the one that got me into Toastmasters many years ago, kicking and screaming. But it opened a whole new world for me. Not only do I present the information, I do it in an entertaining manner. I do it in a humorous manner. I was taught to share my enthusiasm for what I'm doing. Now, let me give you some examples. Most of you probably know what the Big Dipper is. You pointed out in the sky. Is the Big Dipper a constellation? Haha, it's not the constellation. It's part of a constellation, Ursa Major, the Great Bear. The Big Dipper is what we call, and here's where the education comes in, it's what we call an asterism. Asterism is just a big word that means it looks like something. It looks like a dipper, so we call that an asterism. The Little Dipper is also an asterism because that's part of Ursa Minor, the Little Bear. I remember that term. There'll be a quiz on this. Now, by explaining it that way, people remember it. Here's another example. Trying to explain distances in space. Distances are vast. We use the term light year. What in the world's a light year? It is the distance that light can travel in a vacuum, and that's important, in a year's time, approximately 6 trillion miles. Now, to put this into perspective, near the Big Dipper, which is a what? Asterism. Gonna be a long morning. Good. There are two stars we call pointer stars that will point you right up to these two galaxies, M81 and M82. That's a whole nother speech, what that means. That means Messier object. There's two galaxies. One's face on, one's edge on. The face on is the one I'm talking about, Bode's galaxy. Well, both of those galaxies are 10 million light years away. That light left here 10 million years ago. Now, what did I just say a light year was? 6 trillion miles. So that's 6 trillion times 10 million, which is a 6 with a lot of zeros on it. It is hard to wrap your head around distances that vast, but that's how I put it in perspective for people who just show up to and don't know much about it. Now, there's another fun thing. There in the constellation Cassiopeia, there is a little object called NGC 457. That's New General Catalog, and that's a whole nother speech explaining what that means. But in the middle of this, there's an object. Now, I'll put the scope on it under low power and say, you see those two dots? Those are his eyes, and that's all I have to say. You will see a stick figure standing there in the middle of this open cluster. We call it the ET cluster for that reason. It's also known as the owl cluster. So what is ET? Asterism. There you go. Now, it's all these things that I try to make the show a little lighthearted. People remember it this way. So where am I going with all this? Well, this Saturday, it is our next star show down to Alcott, sure it is, in Wilson at the Kruger Park. And a lot of people confuse Kruger and Kroger, two different things. We're at Kruger Park in Wilson. And I do have flyers here for when we're down there, cheap plug. So we'll be down there at night. But during the day, I was invited over to Ransonville as part of, well, it's a Flag Day festival they have going on. They're going to have a parade. They're going to have a lot of things. I was invited over to set up a booth and talk about astronomy from like 10 in the morning to 3, 5 hours of talking. That's when I started thinking, well, I could not do that if it wasn't for Toastmasters. Because when I first started doing shows, a group of women invited me to come talk somewhere. And I can't do that. Now I love these chances. I'll be talking there all day about astronomy. I will be doing the star show at night. So I'm inviting everybody. Come over and see me and talk to me in Ransomville, or come on down to the Kroger Park Saturday night to get the full tour of the cosmos and see what's there to be had. And if you don't get out, you don't know what you're missing. So I'm inviting you all, come on out and enjoy the wonders of the night sky. Madam Toastmaster. I do have schedules.
Steve's star shows are amazing. Definitely check it out. I'll be out of town, or I would come check it out this weekend. May I have a timer's report, please, Nancy? She's on deck and ready.
3 great speeches. Thank you. Mark, 634, Jackie, 540, and Steve, 527. By my calculations, they all qualify.
Thank you very much. Please rip off your ballot if you're here in person. And also a reminder for the love notes. At the top of the ballot are notes for each speaker. Please give those notes to each speaker, and Mary can pick those up and deliver them to the speakers also. Anybody on Zoom would like to email our speakers or drop a message in the chat, please do. Joe, are you ready to be our first evaluator? He says yes. So let's roll right into our evaluations. And we have Joe evaluating Mark.
Thank you, Mark, for a wonderful informed speech. And I have to say that you and many other veteran Toastmasters here are living time capsules. Be able to tell us stories and that sort of thing. And I mean that in a good way, of course. Mm-hmm. So you had very good presence, good gestures, and I like the message that you gave. Always room for improvement. So one thing that I was particularly impressed with was is that you didn't criticize, you didn't come up and say, well, things need to change. This isn't right. Like some people would. You were very tactful. You were very helpful. You gave good suggestions, ways to do good and ways to improve. And that's how we should always do things when we want to make better suggestions. And it really is true. Little things do mean a lot. And supposing we do have guests that come here, I like that point that you made. That person who comes here, that guest will learn something from us and take something away and be inspired by us. Because someone out there is always going to be watching and always listening. So we should always do a good job and do our best. So like I said, you gave good suggestions, you were tactful. So you came up and you said, you know, there's some things I have concerned about. So we're thinking, don't keep us in suspense. Let us know what it is. But you let us know. And it was, like I said, very good, very helpful, very, very meaningful. Now, if I would say that any room for improvement, maybe, and this is something I'm kind of working on too, maybe come out from behind the lectern and interact like with the portable thing. That's something I should probably do myself too. That would have made your speech a lot more powerful. But like I said, it was a very good, very powerful, very helpful. And thank you for your suggestions. We could always do good. We could always challenge ourselves, no matter what role we do. So thank you. And I just want to say too, since our topic today is CPR, yes, I did have to do CPR once. A good 8 years before my dad passed away, one night, he collapsed on the kitchen floor, went into full cardiac arrest. My mom called 911. Thank God. My job at the time, community missions, taught us CPR. So I did the compressions, the breaths. Thank God there was a state trooper not 5 minutes away with a defibrillator. Thank God there was a fireman's meeting going on not 10 minutes away, and not even 10 minutes after my mom called 911. There was probably at least 10 people in the house working on him, and he pulled through. And my mom said, you know, Joe, if you weren't there, we would have lost him a lot sooner. So it is good to know that, people always learn it. You just, God forbid, you never know. But thank you. And thank you, Katie, for a good topic.
Thank you, Joe, for sharing that amazing story with us. Every minute counts, and Joe's dad and Joe giving him CPR makes a difference in hitting that impact home. Every minute that you delay can drop a person's chance 10%. Every minute drops a chance 10%. So you intervening was amazing, Joe, and her calling 911 right away. That's the kicker, right? And I know we'll get it. We're doing our evaluation. So let's stay on track with that. And I'll get back to this topic. We do have a little bit of time. Our second evaluator is on deck and ready. Dr. Gerald Stevens evaluating Jackie. Thank you for jumping in.
No problem, Kate. Don't start timing me, Madam Timer, just yet. Not just yet. I was lucky enough to the course I just took to get a little CPR mask. It's a face shield, so they have one on a keychain. So that's kind of cool because sometimes when they do CPR, things kind of regurgitate because of too much breathing, right? And they have a little mask here for barrier, which isn't a bad thing. So I carry that with me now. So I thought that was kind of neat. I just wanted to share that those kind of things are available. It's not a bad idea. I'm sure Kate would go over this, but to have those kind of things in your car or at your house, something like that. But it's very convenient to have it on your keychain. Now, Madam Timer, you kissed. Interesting today. I don't know if there's conspiracy going on, but we have two speakers talking about a similar topic. So you did not coordinate. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So great minds think alike is really what I was thinking. So good job with the topics, I think. Obviously something that is at the top of their minds. So good job there. We have today Jackie, a veteran Toastmaster. She knows what she's doing. She's been speaking for a while. So I think it's important to point that out. She is vigilant. She is noticing what's going on with the club. Jackie's encouraged us, in my opinion, to pursue goals, to figure out what we want to do. Do we want to become a DTM if you're not a DTM? If you are a DTM, do you want to continue in speech contests? Do you still need to improve? We all need to improve. I need to improve. I know Sylvia, she likes to do table topics sometimes to improve there. So think about that. What do you need to do to improve? She encouraged us to set expectations. Optimum professionalism. That's what we're looking for. But in her speech herself, she showed she knew what she was doing. She had excellent eye contact with the screen, with the video. Sometimes I struggle with that. So good job there. But as a Toastmaster, we have to recommend some improvement, no matter how veteran you are. She did have a few gestures in there I noticed. Could do a few more, but it's appropriate for the speech. Because you don't want to do too much. You know, we're not sliding across the floor like Marty at this point for this topic. So we don't have to crank it up that high. Always the perfect example, in my opinion, Marty, when it goes to gestures. Also, maybe a little more vocal variety. But again, just being nitpicky, we can all use improvement. She did not have many ahs or ums. She did well there. She set the example, and her conclusion, I think, was pretty good. I think a lot of Toastmasters struggle with that. They just say, time's up. I see the green light. I'm out the door. She had our slogan at the end. Nice to wrap that up with our slogan. I loved it. So that is my feedback. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Gerald. Our third and final evaluator evaluating Steve is Sylvia. Thank you, Sylvia.
Steve's speech is a great example of what speakers should be talking about. You know your topic, you're going to give a great speech. He did not use notes. He didn't need to. He knew everything about astronomy. Eye contact, I was really watching and noticed you were probably one of the few in the last couple of weeks I noticed that used the camera correctly and the room you worked us in, your speech, the pace, the humor, asking questions, which drew the audience in and got our attention, and we were vigilant to know more about what's going on. As a challenge, I only came up with one, and I'm not sure if you would do this or not, maybe in a different setting, but I would use the lapel mic, because near the end of the speech, you started moving more back and forth, which is a little distracting. And I think if you moved away from, gotta use the mic, move away from the lectern, you would feel more comfortable. You might move this way or this way a little more, but the back and forth is more annoying, I guess you want to use the word. But like I said, the pace was great because you made time at 5:27. You had a great ending. Your gestures were nice and large. You could tell you've been doing theater, Marco's help. And it just drew us in with the questions and kept our attention. Thank you.
Sylvia, it's okay, next time. She was quick. She was right down. May I have a timer's report, please? All that timing. Timer report, I think the timer does the most during a meeting. Aside from our Zoom techs, I feel like and the Zoom techs are also copying the time. So I feel like it is something you're constantly paying attention, and this is the final report. So then your job will be done. Thank you.
Joe, 201, Gerald, 240, Sylvia, 143. And is it a 15-second buffer or a 30-second buffer? Okay. That right? Yeah. 2 more seconds and it wouldn't have been an issue.
We have to pause more. I know that's what I could be doing. Thank you, Madam Timer, for that final report. So all 3 qualified, please vote on Zoom or in person, and we can tally those votes. And I will share a couple more things before we roll into our general evaluation. So Dr. Stevens brought up the face shield. So what the handout says is, I believe it says hands-only CPR or compression-only CPR. Maybe it doesn't, but maybe you're hearing that and wondering, what is up with this? What is the hands-only CPR? So here's the science behind it. Damar Hamlin, we know, received CPR on live television. If you did not know this, Buffalo Bills player 2 Januaries ago, maybe 3 at this point, he received CPR on live television. He received an impact to the heart by a football. It's very uncommon that that would happen. But young people who need CPR, vastly, it's the highest majority is from sports-related injuries from a projectile. The 3 more common projectiles besides a football are baseball, hockey puck, and lacrosse balls. Those can hit the impact of the heart that can stop a child's heart. So there are all of the actual, I met this person at a blood drive who's my age in New York State, and a friend of his on his baseball team in high school died from a baseball hitting his chest and stopping his heart. This was about 30 years ago, and his family, after that, in the Genesee County area, his family began lobbying throughout the state to get AED units in every sports game across New York State at public schools. That was a huge impact in spreading AED awareness. It was Red Cross responders who helped Damar Hamlin. Ever since then, the American Heart Association, I'm not mad wherever you learn CPR, I don't care, learn it. American Heart Association has paired up with the NFL and the Red Cross to share how CPR helps. And in the last 20 years, we know that mouth to mouth is what stops people the most from doing anything. They don't want to touch their mouth on someone else's. And it really escalated over the last 5 years because of COVID. People don't want to put their mouth anywhere near someone they don't know, or sometimes someone they do know. Fentanyl overdoses with folks that you come upon a car accident and you're not sure what's going on. You maybe don't want to touch that person's face, right? And other reasons that people don't want to touch the mouth. We know in an ideal situation, if someone has a cardiac emergency at the hospital, the mouth to mouth and the AED is going to be better, but it's not necessary. You don't need to do mouth to mouth to still at least be pumping the heart. So what you're doing is by pushing the heart, you're helping the blood that's already circulating that carries you the oxygen. You're pushing the oxygen to where it needs to go, especially the brain. So you're acting as the person who's the pump in the place of the heart. Now, Jill and Gerald just pointed out also, there's issues sometimes, maybe your shoulders or your wrists or your knees, you physically can't do CPR, but you sure as heck can call CPR. You can start calling the shots. You call 911. Did I say call CPR? Call 911. You go get the AED. I don't know where it is. Do you know where it is? Guess what? There's 3 AED units here in this building. And again, I want you to start paying attention to where AED units are in your world. Where are they? Where are they here? What makes sense? There's one, this whole thing is a gym. So where would we put the 3 AEDs? One in the pool. One is in the pool area because drownings or having oxygen issues can often occur in the pool area. At the front desk, they have one kind of behind the front desk area, and in the kids' babysitting room. So even though kids are all throughout the gym, there are 3 units. They just come off the wall and they tell you what to do. You push the start button and it will explain and talk you through. I will challenge all of you. I didn't set up any videos with the tech gurus ahead of time, but I challenge all of you to just look up some YouTube videos on how to use AED, how to do compression CPR. They're quick 1-minute videos, 2-minute videos, so you can be more prepared. Like Joe was. Joe mentioned his mom called 911. One of the first responders had an AED unit in their vehicle, and often they do now. Call 911. Do you think you're going to have help in 5 minutes? Probably not where we live out in the country. So you have to be prepared to be the help until help arrives, and just keep going. Again, I'll put that handout or links in your email so those of you at home can have those too. And again, I brought the blood donation materials so you can be a little more aware of that. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we are now in the 100 deadliest days of the year, and being prepared for things like traumas is really helpful. Sometimes like an average blood drive, like a blood drive that happens in this room, they have them here every couple of months. The blood drive collects on average 20 to 25 units from donors. Sometimes that can all be used for one trauma patient if they come in, an entire blood drive. Sometimes 50 units can all go to one person. And meanwhile, in the summer, regular care doesn't stop. Folks who need transfusions for transplants, for other conditions like leukemia and sickle cell. So the regular need is high, then the spikes in trauma needs and summertime needs right when less people are donating because it's summertime. Everyone's having a good time. You're camping, you're vacationing, you're not focusing on donating. Just donate once this summer. That's my challenge. If you can't, find someone who can donate on your behalf if you're ineligible. Okay, I think I've given plenty of time to our general evaluator to set up a lovely evaluation of our evaluators in meeting. Mr. General Evaluator David Jones.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And I've been very vigilant today, listening and paying attention to what everybody had to say. We started on time, which is pretty much a tradition for AM Lockport, so I appreciate that. Toastmaster of the Day, you had a great theme, especially when you have props. I love props, and it was very informative. Now we're way ahead of schedule. We're ahead of schedule now. And I noticed that on the agenda, we have AV and Zoom set up, which is 8 minutes. I don't know if that's left there on purpose as a buffer, but that 8 minutes kind of throws the agenda off. And just something I mentioned last meeting on the agenda, it still says the table topics are 1 to 2 minutes. I don't know if that could be changed to 1.5 to 2 minutes.
Good idea.
Yeah. Let me see. So Nancy was timer, and I do like, based on what Mark said, that we don't just phone it in. She did bring up her cards, although her cards were kind of down here. She didn't go red, yellow, green, and I think that's to what Mark was talking about, us being complacent at sometimes. And one of the things I had a big takeaway from Jackie and Mark, but sometimes I go to smaller meetings, might have 8 or 10 people, and people are very lackadaisical there because there's no motivation. But I always tell them that there's no small audiences, there's only small speakers. And I think that's something we do great at most meetings, where no matter the size, we just keep doing it. And I agree with Mark about AM Lockport specifically. I mean, the standards that you all have is the reason I joined and I continue to be a member. And I've always given credit to TI or to AM Lockport for my success at Toastmasters. And that's why I'm the incoming district director, because when I met you all, my home club had less than 20 people during the pandemic. And the skills and the attitudes I learned from you all, we're now the largest club in the district. We had 2 people join the other day, which brings us to 59 members. So we're a huge club. But again, that all comes from the mindset I gained from you all. Now to Jackie, she was talking about not needing new members. And I agree with that. Part of my theme this year is membership retention. So I agree with what everybody says, just to raise our standards and continue to do membership retention. Now for our evaluators, all 3 did the sandwich approach. And I think that's something that I also learned from AM Lockport, was the sandwich approach. And finally, another great thing I learned from Dave Licata for our Toastmaster, stay on track. You were praising Joe's evaluation, which skews the voting. And that's my takeaway from Dave Licata. So we want to make sure we don't interrupt our speakers or evaluators with our own commentary. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Madam General Evaluator, so you can call on the functionaries for me.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Mr. General Evaluator, bravo. We have some cleaning up to do. This was a meeting of cleaning up and focus. I love the suggestions all around. So your suggestion also on the agenda ties me to I am your vice president of education starting in just 3 short weeks. So be thinking of what jobs you want. I'll send out an email so you can let me know I want to do these many projects this coming time. I'm out of town. I can't Zoom in for this meeting, etc. But that will be in your email soon, and we can tidy up the agenda. And if anybody notices other things, please let us know. All right, how about a quiz master report? Our quiz master today, I think it's Marty. Marty is our quiz master. You know what? I'll say wait on that because you're in the back. We're gonna shift over to Maggie if you are available to give your master grammarian report. Oh, I love your blouse. That's beautiful. All right, Maggie.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Um, um, there we go. I wanted to say that the word was not used a lot, and that's impressive. However, we seem to have replaced the word with the word so. And I counted over 50 uses of the word so, and there are a couple of you that used it more than a dozen times, Kate and Gerald. So I think so. I think it's starting to stand out. Outside of that, I really I'm hearing myself now, and I'm trying to acknowledge. Outside of that, we have some joiner words and a couple of I don't know. Like I said, I think that. So those are other things that we're using to join. I loved that no small audiences, only small speakers. Is that what it was? Oh, no small audience, only small speakers. And of course, for me, no small actors, no small parts, only small actors. And that's a film saying or a stage saying. Every Toastmasters meeting is a performance. It is. And oh, I love these performances. I look forward to AM Lockport so much. Going back to some things that we could improve, enunciation, something. And the last thing I want to say is couple of us, I'll include myself, have nervous tics. And that is at the end of a sentence, a laugh. This is, I'm sure, me, a laugh or a giggle to take down maybe when you're saying something to someone, an evaluation to soften the blow, a giggle or a laugh, or when you're self-conscious, a giggle or a laugh at the end of sentences, or a little grunt. And I think that it's the same as a or a so. It's something that you're doing to compensate for your own nervousness. So maybe be aware of your laughing and your grunts. I think that is everything for me, and I think Beth might want to discuss the usage of the word of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie, for reminding us so much of what to be vigilant about here in our club meetings. And Mom with the word report.
I think we did pretty well. Kate, with adding the word just now, used it 4 times. Mike Florio used it. Nancy used it. Marty used it. Margot, Dave Licata, Jackie used it twice. Sylvia used it twice. Gerald, David Jones. If someone else used it and I didn't hear, I apologize for that. But I think it was a good word, good use. Thank you.
Awesome. I would love, since we have time, we talked about this last week, Marty and Yang and I. Marty, please join me as Vice President of Membership up at the lectern because we're doing a member induction, a new member induction. We're slipping in because we have time for Yang today. All right. And Marty, the lectern is yours.
Thank you, Kate. Fellow Toastmasters, it's our duty and our privilege this morning to induct one new member to the AM Lockport Toastmasters Club. This is an important occasion. both for the new member and for our club. This individual has come to Toastmasters seeking to improve their communication and leadership skills. And now we have the opportunity to help her learn, grow, and achieve those goals. I will now call on Yang Q. Please come forward. And we ask to join me at the lectern. Hold your applause till we're completed here. Welcome. Good morning. Yang Q, you are joining a worldwide organization that has helped many people, actually 4 million people, learn to communicate more effectively. As members of the AM Lockport Toastmaster Club, you will benefit from a proven program of self-development. You will become part of an outstanding group of people who are dedicated to helping one another in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Mr. VP of Ed, Mike Florio, Kate, Mike is not here, but I'm sure that he's on Zoom. Good morning, Mike. That Yang Q has been given the opportunity to discuss her needs and goals with the club and will continue to do that. And she has been told and will continue to tell you and teach you how the Toastmaster program works and orientate you to the club each meeting. Okay, and then Yang Q, I'm going to have you read a few sentences, and then the club will close and read a couple sentences, and then we're going to give you our Toastmasters pin. Okay, so here, this is you. You start with I, Yang Q.
In the presence of my
No, I'm sorry.
member
You can speak right in the mic.
of the Lockport Toastmasters Club, make this firm obligation to attend the meeting regularly and prepare fully for each assignment. To apply myself to the project outlined in the Toastmasters education program, to participate actively in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with my fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters.
Great. Thank you, Yang Q. Would all the members please stand? I did give Stephen and David a few sentences to read about our pledge to the new member. Members of the AM Lockport Toastmasters Club pledge to support you in your quest for self-development, and will provide you with positive, helpful evaluations to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunity to help others, and to make your Toastmaster membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Yang Q, I give you this Toastmasters pin. It says Toastmasters International. This is a pin for you. If you want, I can put it on, or you can put it on. And we hope that you'll proudly wear this pin. And thank you for joining our club. Congratulations. Would you like to share a word with the club?
Oh,
Feel free, step right up to the mic.
what
would you like to say? Unless you want to say something, say whatever you want.
I'm so happy I joined this club. I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be seated. Thank you. Thank you, Kate.
Welcome to the club officially, Yang. Yes, of that, but that's okay, I guess. We'll take a picture at the end. Awesome. Welcome to the club, Yang. It's official. Okay, I have our winners and I have quick announcements. Oh, forgot the Quizmaster. Stay back up here. We can quick skip the quiz, he says. Okay, that's fine. It's 8:25, end at 8:30 or earlier. Okay, I'll make announcements while he's coming up. Thank you. We had 6 out of 7 officers trained, 5 in person last Saturday in Rochester. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Darcy and Maggie and Eric on Zoom. All 5 went to Rochester. I Zoomed on Tuesday night. And so we have 6 out of 7, 1 point earned. Bravo, team. Well done. This Monday, the 16th, it's already June 12th. Wow. This Monday, June 16th, is our officer meeting. This is outgoing and incoming. All officers at Panera's, 6:30. That's June 16th, 6:30 in person for about an hour. So please join us. That's all officers outgoing and incoming. Dave Licata is our Toastmaster of the day next week. And our officer installation will also be next week, led by Avis, our district director. And then knead the dough for breakfast afterwards, because some people have off. It is Juneteenth. I'm excited to hear David's theme, which is Aaron Mazel. Aaron is a leader from Lockport's history, and a school's been named after him. And he is one of the Black leaders of Lockport who was amazing in the founding of our city. Aaron Mazel is our theme for next week on Juneteenth. I would love to welcome up, she's already on her way, our closing officer for the day, our secretary, outgoing secretary, Carol Ann Halstead. She was secretary for like 5 years, I think. Would you like to announce our winner?
Hey, table topics. We had a tie, David and Margot. Evaluators, we had a tie, Sylvia and Joe. And our speaker, Mark Campus.
Thank you. All right.
They're all the same color.
Branding, mister. You don't get one. Uh-oh, you can get last one. Anybody else like a ribbon? You can draw the winner of the day. All right, come on up. That. There it is, there it is. Check your ticket, no falling.
Winner is 965.
Margot won. Good job, Margot, being in on it. Got to be in it to win it. You can too on Zoom. Be involved. So Margot got a few dollars today. Mom has that for you. And I think we're ready to, our actual officer of the day.
At this time, I would like to adjourn our meeting.